This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, welcome back. So in today's session, we will get started with the Identity and Access Management, the service offering from AWS. We will understand what is IAM and what IAM has to do in our project, and we will start focusing on the usage of IAM. So people, let's get started now. So the importance of IAM can be understood in this way that it helps you to identify who the person is or who that entity is looking forward to make a request that I'm trying to identify the person, the identity, and what kind of access should be given to that user. So this can be done with the help of identity and access management, which primarily speaks about two things. Authentication, that means identifying this user, what does the user get access to, what resources does he get access to, and what are the ways that he will get access to. That is all about authorization. So to better understand IAM, we need to understand users, groups, roles, and policies in a little more detail. So let's understand what is an IAM user. I believe IAM users are the end users for the system. Now, in the end user system, we need to give them privileges, like few of them are able to read, few of them are able to write based upon the identity. So you are also a user, but you are a root user for the account that you have created. As a root user, you would get everything. You'll get access to everything. And you'll get access to your root account as a root user with full access. Now, once you are the root account user, now it is time for you to decide to the next users that are part of your system to give them access. So what kind of access do you want? So you start focusing on creating new users. But the new users don't have permissions like you unless until you give them. That is, they will get zero privileges. They don't have any permissions at all. They don't have any privileges at all. So what would happen when you go ahead and start giving access to a user? The first thing, you'll not be able to perform. Then what should we do? We should grant him those permissions. Now, how do you grant them? By writing the relevant policies based upon the user privileges. So a user can be granted access by two methods. One, you people have seen in yesterday, the console method, and also very soon we will focus on using the programmatic method. So on the other side, you can see people an image that shows a description of IAM, where you can see one is the account. We categorize users based upon their roles into groups. Like Bob and Susan are individual users. They play the role of admin in my project, for example. And Nat and Brad are developers. So the difference that I can bring here is these people will have read and write access. These people should have only read access. Like they have read and certain limited write access. And also you should notice something like applications are also termed as IAM users. For example, in this case, there's a dev app 1 and there is a test app 1. Now, how do you call the applications as an IAM user? Very simple. Yesterday, you have seen S3 bucket. Let's assume that you're holding some images inside that S3 bucket. You put some images in an S3 bucket, and an application is running on EC2 instance. EC2 instance is nothing but virtual server in AWS Cloud. Your app is running. your application is running. So this application uses S3 to fetch the images. For example, it has to compress and watermark it, and then it does the functionality and then puts in another S3 bucket. So now application is using what? EC2 instance using S3. So what I said, anything that uses AWS services is called an application, is called an IAM user. Hence, I can call even applications as an IAM user. Clear, people? The simple idea is to allow any system that get access to resources like AWS S3, EC2. An application is running on top of EC2, a server. Application fetches images from S3. So it does use S3, it does use EC2. So I can call application as an IAM user as well. Clear? So in AWS examination questions, you may be asked, a user was trying to access images from an S3 bucket, but he was failed to do that. What could be the possible reasons for that? Any one of you people? A user was trying to access some images from an S3 bucket. He was getting denial for his request. What could be the possible reasons behind it?
He was not accessed. I mean, the permission grants was not issued on that particular access for that specific resource.
So it is very simple that by default, unless until you don't giving any kind of permission, he has zero permissions to do. That is the reason, that could be one reason that he will get denial when he goes ahead and access resources on S3. So what should you do now in this case? What is the resolution for him? You should start attaching permissions for him. What kind of permissions? Then you will make sure, okay, this is the permission that I will allow him, the user, to access, like read, write, or any specific resource. That is something that we will be doing in this session as well. So continuing the discussion further, so when we go ahead and focus create a user, we shall get two things. One, we allow him access via the console method, you'll get a username and password. If you allow him via programmatic method, you'll get certain credentials. We call it as AWS credentials. What does this credential comprise of? Please do remember there are two keys you will get: access key ID, secret access key. They're not your username and password. These are credentials that would be given to you. Whenever an IAM user gets created, the credentials will be given to the IAM user. The IAM user using these keys will start making calls on your behalf programmatically. I'll explain you if you're not getting it, people. These are credentials, these are not username and password. Those credentials will be picked up by your users. The users can make calls on your behalf. Very simple. In yesterday's scenario, I was typing a command AWS S3 and LS. AWS S3 and LS. Now this was the command that was read by my CMD, was able to pull my buckets. How did this happen? AWS S3 LS. Because I have configured my credentials. I have had my access key ID, a secret key embedded into my system, into my CLI. So based upon the access key ID and secret key ID, it started to fetch my resources. Now, this is what we call it as programmatic way. Instead of using console, you are calling them by a program. You're calling them by a program and you're able to fetch those files, folders, buckets, resources. Now, this is what is called programming. For this to happen, we should be creating credentials. Now, how to create credentials, we will be learning in this session. Another important point, these credentials are not, once again, username and password that you would be using. These are credentials that you will use on your behalf to make API calls, CLI method calls, and these are very much to be safely stored somewhere, because if you lose them, you won't get them again. So during the time of creation, you'll get an option to download them, keep them safe, and after that you can, after that you won't get those things. Please keep a copy of it, and you can use it. You can use it, but if you lose them, you can't get them back. You need to regenerate them back. So moving further from the discussion of groups, when multiple users gets grouped, just give me a moment, people. About now, my screen is clear. Right, thank you. Now, instead of managing individual users one by one, it makes me more sense to group all my users and apply the changes. For example, if I have individual users, like if there are 2 users, instead of giving every time privileges to each and every user, let me create a group, apply the policies at the group level. So whatever the permissions will I apply at the group level, those permissions my users will get. The users in that group will inherit those permissions. So managing individual users versus managing a group, managing group is easier for me. And that's why I'll create groups as well. Now, whether it's a group, whether it's an individual user, everything is governed by the idea of permissions. Or what user can perform, what a group can perform is governed by the idea of policy, or the permissions that we attach. The permissions that we attach to the group or a user is governed by the policies that we write. The policies that we write in AWS specify those special permissions that we wanted to grant to that user. How do we write it? In a JSON formatted document we write. I hope you people can now get the importance of the learning that we had on JSON. So to give you how does a policy shall look like, I present you the structure of a policy. A policy is expected to be designed or to be written in this way. That comprises of, first thing, as a version, the version of a policy, and the underlying statement that can comprise of a single statement or multiple statements. Now, what is that statement would bring to you? A statement will get an EAR effect, EAR. E stands for what kind of effect that you want to bring over, or set of actions that you want to perform, and the resources that you want to do. A very, very simple way to understand. This is an S3 bucket that I have. There are some objects inside of it. Objects in the sense files. There is a user. Now to this user, he should be able to perform all the actions. He should be able to perform all the actions. So now, what is the effect that I should bring? Effect I will bring is allow. Actions I can mention here is for S3 related colon start. That means all the actions. What are the resources on it? S3 bucket. Let's say the name of the bucket is hello. The name of the bucket. So here I'll say the name of the specific resource that he should be able to perform is hello. People, are you with me now? So what is the action that I am trying to bring? Allow towards S3, all the actions, and the name of that resource, specific resource. We will understand what is ARN. ARN stands for Amazon Resource Name, the name of that service, resource. Like S3 bucket is given by a ARN pattern. I'll show you how does that ARN looks like. So now, just you can take it as a name to identify a resource. ARN, Amazon resource name, the name of the resource. Like S3 bucket right now. People, I want this user not to perform any actions. How to write a policy for this? Anyone of you? So I'll write effect.
Deny.
I'll say deny. Okay. Next, what actions can he perform? He can't perform any of the actions. S3 related, any actions he cannot perform. And resources, star. Star means on all the buckets, he can't do any action, which is denial. People, now I want him to perform only 2 actions. Put a bucket or put object. I want to perform him to only 2 actions. Put object and get object. He should be able to put an object inside it and get an object inside it. How can I write it? Allow S3. How is that I'll write the actions? S3 related actions. Star object. Star object means whether you put or you get star followed by object followed by actions, the name of the bucket. Hello. So this is how people we will be writing policies. We will get started. We will be spending time to write our policies a little more in detail. But just I gave you a summary of how a policy looks like so that you will get an idea of a sample policy. So let me give you another way to understand it. Let me just go ahead and give you a little more complex policies. So there is a statement version, okay, followed by statement. You can get this version from AWS documentation. I'll show you how to get it. After that, you can mention about the statement. Now, statement, I'm expecting to write multiple statements. That's why I'm starting with an array. Inside that, I have one object. What is this object speaking about? A JSON object which says effect is equal to allow action but EC2 related describe followed by star. What resources? All the resources. So what is your understanding towards this, people? I'll make this one in this way. A user, whoever gets applied with this policy, he can perform actions related to describe. For what? EC2 resources. In EC2, there are good number of actions like create instance, delete instance, describe IP address, describe host name. There are plenty of, you don't need to remember all that. Here he said anything which is related to describe. What are the instances? All the instances, for all the instances in the account, I can describe their IP addresses. People, one question. Can he create an instance with this policy? Can he go ahead and create an instance? If you apply this logic, can he create an instance? This very much no, he can't. Why? Because describe in the sense it's you can take this one as almost like a read. He can just only read that. He can only list that. He can see and read it. That's all. But can he create? Can he delete people? Can he delete an instance with this policy? Can he go ahead and manipulate anything to the instance? No, he can't do that. But out of mistake, I forgot this keyword describe and I gave EC2 star. Now you guys need to tell me, can he create an instance?
Yes.
He can create an instance. Can he delete an instance?
You can do all
Can
the
he
things because
create an instance? Correct. He can perform all the actions related to star. Star means wildcard, everything. You can delete, create. That is why people, you need to be very careful when writing your own policies or policies that are given to you. You should be able to read that policy. So likewise, we can have multiple policies. The purpose of showing you is this, how one policy works, and the statement support only one policy? No, multiple policies. Now, I'm sure you won't be able to get things done on your own unless until we go ahead and do our hands-on. Why is that, people? Why is that we should stop ourselves? We can do and get things done for us. So let me just switch into the console and let me start focusing on user creation, writing a policy, group creation. Let's go ahead and learn things much more in detail. So what is a policy, people? What is a service should I pick? Any one of you? What is the service should I go ahead and pick? EC2, S3, RDS? So I want all of you to understand and map a service. IAM means what? It is all about user management. So that is what I want you to learn. So once you know better things, how to identify service, that's the role of an architect. You're playing the role of an architect. Why? Because you have to understand the relevant services. Okay, so once you notice that, it will become easier. Now, welcome to all of you to the AWS console. In this, the first thing that I want you to focus is the region. Right now, you are not getting any region selection done here because it doesn't need any region. IAM users, you need not to bind your user to any region. Yesterday, I've already mentioned it. That is why it is in global region. Now, how in examination questions will be posted? A company is looking forward to migrate applications from one region to another region. Please list the following services which don't need to be recreated. Do we need to recreate IAM users, people, when we do a region migration? Very simple. What does he's trying to refer? He's trying to ask you, please identify those resources which doesn't need recreation. That means those resources are global. Global resources are not to be recreated. But if there are some region specific, like an instance, in one region, like in Bombay region, we have, when we go ahead and replicate it in another region, we have to recreate it in another region. But for users, you don't need to do that. And these kind of questions come in your professional exams. They'll ask you identify your user creation. Can we go ahead and recreate buckets? No, we don't need to recreate the buckets. So following resources in the sense, AWS IAM resources are not to be recreated because we don't bind them to any particular region. Okay, now once it's done, it is welcoming you to the Identity and Access Management console. So you will see an IAM URL link. So you must be seeing that customize it, then I'll be able to do it. Okay. So let's say I'm the root user now into my account. I need to start giving access to you people. You are part of my project and I'm having some resources in my account like buckets. And now I would want you to people work on it. I cannot share my username and password, right? I cannot always share my username and password to the entire project members. For that, I have to create separate users account for you people, separate IAM users. So how is that you people will log in? You will log in with my customized URL link. That is IAM user sign-in link. For that, you have to reach to my account ID. Instead of giving me account ID, I can customize it so that you guys can. So this is my customized URL. So once you go ahead and sign in, this is the sign-in that I'll be giving you. You guys need to reach to my sign-in page, rachelor24.signin.awsamazon.com, which will be given to you. So your company will give you the sign-in link. So this is the project link that you will be, or account link that you will be asked to log in with. Regarding the root account handling in a company, that is still a big question. Most of the time, it's the company projects manager will be doing it, but I'm not sure about it. But regarding the handling of root account, it is still a company policy, but with the experience I've seen, it is mostly with the project managers or sometimes DevOps engineer, right? Okay. So now moving back, my plan is to create users in the sense like they should be able to get things done. So now I'm focusing in the project, I will focus on two set of users. One set of users I want to focus is on admin group, where they are given uh, admin access. Okay, so they can perform one set of group. And another group I want to focus is developers, where they should have only access to S3, that too read-only access for S3. They should not access any other service except S3. One set of group is about administrators where they have admin privileges. Fine. Another set of users or group I will focus as developers. They have limitations to only access S3 and they should only be able to read it. Now I'm going to show you how to create as per the project requirement, focusing on admin group and developers. Let's get started, people. The first thing that I'll do here is go ahead and create a group. Creation of group is very, very simple. Click create a new group and you would be asked to give it a name. Let me give a name for this. So the name of the project followed by the group that I want to go ahead, the name. You can give your own names, whatever you want. Click on next step. Here it is the attachment of the policy step. To attach a policy, select one or more policies to apply. So policies, as I mentioned, they are the formatted JSON method of the permissions that you will attach. So there are plenty policies that are there. Like the policies are categorized AWS managed. That means you don't create these policies. These policies are created, managed, and written by AWS. The policies following the job rule, like administrator, billing, data scientist, network administrator, power access security, view only access, based upon the job rule. No, I don't want to use AWS manage or drop function. I want to write my own policies. Right now, you are not having any customer manage. That means you don't have your own policies matching your requirement. We will do it later. But for now, let's continue whatever the AWS has offered us. We'll continue using it. Then select administrator access. What does this administrator access? I'll show you once we create it. So how to identify whether it's AWS managed? You will see an icon, which is the orange cube icon next to that policy, which specifies that it is AWS managed. So let's continue AWS managed policy, selection of that. Click next, and here you go. You are coming across the name reviewing page. So you are creating a group which is named beta-admins for the policy. So every resource in AWS is identified by this ARN method. So understand the pattern of ARN, then you'll understand. ARN stands for Amazon Resource Name, followed by it's an AWS product, followed by the service does it belong to IAM. So right now the policy is part of IAM. Double colon, it gives you the information regarding the owner. Since AWS has created it, AWS is managing it, it has given a name called AWS. Followed by what is the type of that resource? It's a policy and name of the policy. People, if I have to follow the same footsteps and get a group name created, it should be something like this: ARN colon AWS colon IAM double colon. What should be the owner for this group, people? Who is the owner for this group? My name, or instead of my name, it will be my account ID. Now, account ID followed by the name of the group. The name of the group is now beta-admins. You'll see now. Let me just create that group. So saying following the same pattern. Let me go ahead and create a group. Now you can see a group got created. Very simple group creation. Do we have any users in it? No, I don't have any users in it. Let's explore a little more about the group. As I said, the ARN number for the group is ARN, followed by AWS, followed by IAM, double colon, account ID, because it is me who has created this group, followed by the type of resource, it's a group, followed by the name of the group. Tomorrow, if you ask me, I have to access this resource, a group, then I can give you this ARN. Saying that, please visit this ARN. So you'll be able to retrieve this resource. Followed by the number of users, none, path, and time information regarding it. Right now, there are any users? None. Any permissions attached? Yes, there are some permissions attached. What is a permission? Administrative access. Just click on this show policy. It will give you a simplified overview of your policy. But this is the riskiest policy that you are going ahead with. Why? The answer is here. This is the start of the policy, end of the policy. Inside this, there is a version, followed by there is a statement. Another statement, it has only one object. And what is actions? You can see here, people. Effect, everything is allowed. What are the actions? Anything, S3, EC2, RDS, IoT, anything, all the actions. And what resources? Any resource you create. What is the riskiest option I'm going ahead with? This is how admin privileges are given. Fine. I want to see this policy even before I go ahead and apply this policy. If you want to detach it, you can click this detach. The policy will get revoked, and the users in this policy will also get. Right now, there are no users. So administrate. If I create a user in this, the user will get administrative access. Right now, there are no users. So even if I detach policy, nothing will happen. But now, I really want to understand how the policy will work. This is a very good method of understanding the policy. Click on simulate policy. This is how I personally understand how the working of a policy will get through. That is what is called simulator, policy simulator. Now, the policy simulator makes it easy for you to get a real simulation of how this policy will work even before you apply it. That should be the easiest way to understand a policy. Next, after that, I'll select the policy simulator. I'll pick up a random policy, for example, S3. For S3, what are the actions? 94, I guess. See that. Create a bucket. Where is the bucket? Yeah. Delete a bucket policy. Delete bucket. Create point. Create. What is that? Create a bucket. So all these actions are available for you people. What I want you to do is I'll pick up all these 95 actions that can be done, like create, delete, describe, get. So I want to see, is this policy makes it easy for me to run and check. So you can see there's an option called run simulation. Run that. Now, what is the permission people can I get? Am I getting here? It's saying that when a user with this policy tries to go ahead and create a bucket, is he getting allowance or denial? He's getting allowance. Getting allowed to perform the action create bucket. Can he delete a bucket? Yes. Can he delete an object? Yes. Why? Because you have written a policy like that. You are allowing everything and every action to be performed. Now, can I go ahead and write any policy like a deny policy? Yeah, you can. But clearly, when you go ahead and apply that, AWS comes with a warning that, of course, you can apply the changes, but these changes won't fit in because this is something which is not managed by you. It is managed. So it is giving me a warning that, Mr. Rajala, whatever that your changes that you're trying to bring, we will make it. But these changes won't get applied because this is something that is not managed by you, Rajala. It is managed by us. AWS is warning me. Okay, but still I want to see how actions get performed. Here are the results. Selection of the actions. And let's see. Simulation. Let's learn what I'm getting. These are people. I'm getting a denial here. Now with this policy, if a user is given this policy, will he be able to perform deletion of a bucket? Where is deletion of bucket? Can he delete a bucket? Complete denial. Can he create a bucket, people? Can he create a bucket? Hello, good morning.
No.
Right, he can't create a bucket.
So if you, the effect is deny. So most of the things he could not able to make it. Is that right?
Correct. Most of the things are taken away. Abdul, you can see what actions he is only able to perform related to action, that is start. Let's say I allow him, see that I allow him for let's say allow him now in this case. Now what do you expect for the allowance? Your results once again
Every
no. Pardon people. So whatever the actions that you want to allow him, you will allow. Whatever the actions you want to deny, you can deny that. You can write it, but not in this policy. This policy is managed by AWS. So such kind of policies are what? Customer managed policy, which we will create. We will do it, but not at this moment. So right now my focus was to show you how the policy, right, where we can go to the policy, go to the group that you have created. There's an option show, detach, simulate. There's an option called simulate. Simulate policy will help you to get here. So I'll keep this policy simulator. We'll use this policy simulator, right? Next is go ahead and create another policy or another user, another group, beta hyphen S3 or developers only. I'll just create developer. For this development group, I'm allowing only one thing. Read only. If I could read plenty of services with read-only access. Specifically S3. I couldn't find it. So let me type and search like S3 related. Now I got access. S3 full access, read-only access. So this is meaningful for me to continue with S3 full access. Click with the next step selection, group name, and the policy attached to it, and create a group. Now I got a new policy. People, what is the policy attached to this developers? S3 read-only access. Where I can see the content of the policy, show policy. See that? Policy is shown up here. What is the effect? Allowance, fine. What actions can I perform? Get all the buckets, list all the buckets. Get all the buckets from Rachalla's account and list the buckets from the Rachalla's account. Can a user go ahead and create a bucket with this policy, people? Can a user can go ahead and create a bucket with this policy?
no.
Much more. Let's see how to simulate this policy. There's a policy called simulate. Now let's see, is this user, is this policy is attached to a user, can he perform actions related to creation of S3 buckets, people? So S3, pick up the actions, say all the actions. What kind of actions can, or let me put it this way, can he delete a bucket with this policy, people?
No.
Let's do that. Run a simple. Let's check it out. We are getting denial. 43 actions are allowed and 52 actions are denied. I'm being very specific to delete bucket. Create delete bucket. So delete bucket, what is the policy that I'm getting? So the delete bucket, I'm getting the policy denial. But can he list a bucket? Question to be answered. Can he list a bucket here? People,
Yes.
what do you say? Let's check. Let's check. LIST.
So list means adding anything on that bucket.
Okay, I'll just give me a moment. Let me confirm you. So he's able to list a bucket. See that, people? He's able to list a bucket. A user with this policy can list a bucket. It is allowed. I'll tell you. See, as you people are aware, AWS is an account. So we have buckets lying in the account. Let's assume that this is the account. I have buckets in it. Bucket number 1, bucket number 2, bucket number 3. I want to see in the console. I want to see them in the console. So first thing, as a user, what I need to do via the console, I need to get all the buckets from my account and list inside my console. That is what is called get and list. But when I go ahead and create a bucket with this policy, can I create a bucket with this policy? No, I can't. Can I delete a bucket? No, I can't. Now, what we'll do is we will see the live view of it. Let's start to go ahead and create a user and get it done for us. Let's get these things done. So I hope policy simulator is clear to all of you. May I request people to just go on mute if you have questions, please. I'll be happy to discuss.
In this policy, we have only 2 actions. Is that right? Only 2 actions. That is get and list.
No, there are not 2 actions, Abdul. There are followed by actions like get, these are all the actions, right, related to get bucket tagging, get bucket versioning. The summary is going to that means after get anything it can happen. Get bucket website, get encryption, get job, get object access. So instead of writing every action here, they have made it very simple. Get followed by star. List related, LIST. List access points, list all buckets, list action, list buckets, list jobs related to list. What do you want to put? Let's see what is the put giving you. Put is giving denial. If you want, let's perform this. Let's check.
Rajara, hi, Guru here.
Yeah.
So actually then these all are the keywords, right? The specific keywords, we can't change it while giving in the action column, right?
So this is something like a simulator which would give you what actions can you perform and no. This is just something for your checking.
No. In that whatever the policy you are editing right now, in those in the action, the second one, in the action, like whatever we are entering, get, list, and put, these are the keywords related to the actions.
Correct, related to the actions. Correct.
So there will be numerous number of, like many number of action it will be there. So is it possible to write for each and every action, like by using such keywords?
That's what there is a privilege to do that. But here what they have done is very, very simple. They've categorized all the actions followed by get start. I want to follow the actions followed by list star, followed by put star. So based upon the relevancy of done it. Now I want certain actions, like even in put, I want certain actions to be allowed and certain actions to be denied. You can do that. We have that options. You can do that. That is something which will fall under customer manage. That means you are managing as per your requirement. You're customizing as per your requirement. Here we will do that if you want, but little later, not at this time. Right? So let me just confirm one thing here. So I'm just making few changes here. And now I'm going to show you if these changes are applied. Can it really bring an effect by making the change over the push? People, what do you expect now? The user can put a object, put a bucket. Let's check for the put actions. Okay. And the simulation. So I'm hoping now that all the put related actions will get applied. See that? Put object, put access control, put object retention, tagging related to push. Clear to all of you now? I hope the idea of policy simulator is much clear to all of you now. Can I expect a quick round of confirmation from everyone there?
Yes. So one small question. I mean, all this we need to read. I mean, on real time. So we need to spend time on reading what actions do we need to. I mean, see, if we go by get, list, put, there are so many actions, right? So how do we exactly know which action we should allow or deny to the user?
Very good question. I appreciate your question. See, it's not that every action will be considered. It's a group of actions people will take care. Like let's say as an administrator, what kind of actions he will perform? As an administrator, he will perform everything. Am I right? Very, very simple. As an administrator, he will perform everything. But let's say he is now having limited access. Limited access means we will allow him, but this time we will allow him only for S3 related actions. Instead of all these actions for him, we will try to give him only S3 related actions. So it is based upon the nature of the group, what exactly the group should do. A group can access S3, only S3 actions. A group should access only EC2. A group should access both EC2 and S3. So based upon your requirement, you will customize it. Yes, it is time-taking task, but this is how things are achieved. But the good thing, as I mentioned already, they have categorized based upon the actions: put, replicate, update. So you can say all the put actions they can perform, all the get actions they can perform, but they cannot perform creation and deletion. So I can customize it as per the requirement. Clear, Abdul? It is based upon the kind of group that you are targeting, what they can do, what they can't do.
So no, how do we get to know that what we need to give, I mean, allow or deny? I mean, we have some sort of documentation to
That is
how it
completely
goes.
based upon. Fine, Abdul, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, how it goes on real time. How do we get to know that we need to give this permission or this permission we should deny?
Okay, so let's say that you created a group which is read-only access group S3. Now company comes and say that we are not going to give access to S3, but only one specific S3. Then who will decide this? Project team will decide this. Project team says instead of giving access to all the buckets, please give them access to S3, that to specific S3 bucket.
So the project team or management will tell us, or documentation will be there some sort of.
Right. So they will tell you that, okay, you are required to focus on creating a group that has access only to S3. User should only access S3. In that S3 also, only one specific bucket. They should not access any other bucket. Contents.
Got it.
Now, moving aside from the idea of policies, it's time for us to go ahead and focus on creating users. Can I expect another round of quick confirmation from everyone regarding the clarity over the groups and the relevant policies attached with the group, how to use policies, and how to focus on understanding a policy if you're not aware of how to use a policy, and understanding the requirements based upon the permissions to be given to the users? Fair. Now it's time for me to go ahead and create users now. So moving, instead of focusing on the policies that I want to write, let me use the policy. So what kind of policies I use? AWS related policies, like AWS policies I use. Now it's time for me to create the users now. My recommendation to every one of you is that you create an admin user for yourself the way I've created for myself. I'll show you how to create a user, but this is my sincere recommendation to all of you, because I want everyone to minimize your root account. I don't want you to people use your root account every day. Instead, log in with this user. I'll show you how in a short while from now. First, go ahead and create a user. Click add user. Here you need to give a username. Let's say I want to give a user called Bob. He's my user and he's the admin in this project. I'm giving him as an admin. So Bob-admin followed by selection involves what kind of access do you want to give him. I want to give him programmatic access by which he'll get an access key ID and he'll get a secret key. Good. After that, I would allow him to access my resources from console. I'll give him console access and I'll give him a password which he can change after he makes login for the first time. Any dummy password. User must create a new password at the next sign-in. Bob has to create a new password. What is the policy? Change password policy is already getting applied. Next, there are ways to attach. I can attach the user directly to the group that I've created, or I can attach permissions from some other existing user, or direct method of attaching the policy. So this methods are not easy for us because we are focusing on the group. I'll make him part of the beta group, beta-group, and let's continue. Now in this you come across the scenarios involving key value pairs. It's good that if you know much about key value pairs are something like for your practice purpose. Let's say I want to give him more information regarding the name of the project. So name or the project name. Okay, what is his role? He's admin in this project. What kind of access he has? Administrator. So this is something for my. There is a purpose is that I want to go ahead and retrieve all the users who are playing the role of admin in beta 1 project. So you'll see Bob getting listed under the search. Hacks makes it useful to get more information regarding that user. Okay, we'll be doing a lot of these key value pairs, so it is up to you people. Whatever the key, you can give the relevant value for it. Next review for this user. So Bob is now getting created with the username Bob-admin. He's given programmatic access and console access. And let's get started with the user creation. So right after the user creation, you will get confirmation. It will say success that you have created a user. You have successfully created the user shown below. This one user. You can view and download the security credentials. Okay, let me download the credentials for Bob. Save those credentials. You can also email users with their credentials for the sign-in. Okay, so I'll share the credentials for the Bob with the access key ID, secret key ID, the password, and all of that stuff to the Bob. So now users can sign in with this thing. What I'll do, people, I'll keep this screen available. This is the root account, which I'm right now logged in as Rachella in my Firefox. Next thing, what I'll do is I'll pick up another browser. The browser preferably I use is Chrome. In this Chrome, I would like to log in as Bob. Now, that it can be understood as the login. So I want you to understand as a login that Bob logging from another account, what Bob can access and Bob can't access. So for Bob to access, Bob should be redirected to my account. So now, assuming that Bob has received the credentials, let me just focus on the download section, you see new credentials for the Bob are available. See that? Bob has now these credentials ready. So now it is time for me to take the role of Bob. People, simple solution. In Firefox, I'm as user, which is my root account. In Chrome, I'm logged in as Bob. I'm going to log in as Bob. Now, where is Firefox? Where is Chrome? I'm logging in as Chrome. So first thing I'll get is the navigation, which redirects Bob to Rachalla's account. See that? It picked up my account ID, alias name. Here I have to log in. What is the username? Did I create? Bob-admin. Now the password for Bob, the dummy password. Now I'm making a sign in as Bob. Bob is requested to change his password. Let's go ahead and confirm the password change. Password has been changed for Bob. There you go. Now I've logged in as Bob here. Now you guys can see the IAM user that has logged in is Bob-admin in Firefox account. My account that I've logged in with, like this is the account that I've logged in to, that is Rachalla's account. Let's start to look what access. So I'm being very specific on S3 because S3 is a little easier for us to understand. So I'll pick up S3 related services. People, will Bob be able to list all my buckets? Question to all of you. And here is the answer. Bob is able to list all of my buckets. Yeah, you see all the buckets here. You can see Rachalla's account buckets are listed under Bob's account. Can Bob create his own account, own bucket, people? Can Bob create a bucket here now? Can
Yes.
Bob create a bucket? So okay, I'm creating in Bombay South, fine. And let's get started with it. There you go. Bucket got created. Bob is able to create his own bucket. Can he delete someone else's bucket? Delete.
Yes.
I think the bucket is not empty. So it is asking me to empty the bucket. Let's go ahead and empty the bucket. Or you go ahead and empty. Any file is there? Yes, there's a file. Delete that file. Okay, or else you can go ahead and delete the bucket. Select. Okay, so let's delete the empty the contents of the bucket. I have to give a name.
So it is like cloning the root user account. The admin account, is that right? Or
So instead of using the word cloning, it's because of the privilege of having admin Bob in my account. Bob is able to see my buckets.
no, or
Bob is
I mean
able
to say like second in command, something like that.
apologies, Abdul. I didn't understand that. I didn't understood that.
I mean, the Bob also has same rights. I mean, permission that the root user has.
Missing something. Okay, fine. So Bob is an admin
Yes.
in this account. Rachella is a root account user. So Rachella has complete privilege, but Bob doesn't have that complete privilege. Bob has some limitations which root account has. We will have some limitations. Please go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. So same limitations both has, I mean, the root users and the Bob admin.
Let me explain it once again. No problem. We'll see here. In this, let's assume that Bob is looking forward to see Rachalla's billing. Let's see, can he access billing? Do you see that Bob is able to get any kind of billing access? Very much no. Can Rachalla access his billing? Now, can you spot the difference? Rachalla will be able to access his billing, which is the root account, whereas Bob is an admin, he is not able to access billing. So it does make Bob and Rachalla to have same privileges?
No.
That's what. So the reason why I'm asking you people to use root account is not to use root account is if in case if your credentials, like your root credentials, gets compromised, it's a risk. That is the reason I'm asking you people to get your admin privileges, admin account created so that you can minimize the risk of losing your credentials. Clear, people? People, did you understand the purpose? The purpose of not using root account is to minimize the usage of root account is to make sure that you don't get into a situation where if in case if you lose your credential, your access key ID and secret key ID or your username and password gets compromised. So to overcome that scenarios, you're using an admin account and go ahead and create an admin user for yourself. Clear, Abdul? Clear, rest of the team? Clear with the idea of administrator?
Yes.
Shall I proceed further? Now, let's do one thing. Let's make a sign out from the Bob's account. Quickly, we'll create another user under developer's role. So now we will focus on creating the role of a developer, another user under developers. So let's come back to IAM user. My focus is now to create a user under which group? Developers group. So let's go ahead and create a user under the developers group. So now this is new user. The user is Peter-developer followed by surname and depth. I'll give him programmatic access. I'll give him console access. I'll ask him to change his password. He will change his password for the next sign-in. He's a developer, so I made him part of the development team. The role that he can do is only read-only access. Skip the tags, create a user. Now, my aim is to log in as Peter now. Download the credentials.csv file and let's log in now as Peter. So Rachella account still is in the Firefox account. So let me now log in as Peter. What is the role of Peter, people? What does Peter would do? Peter being the role of a developer, what can he perform? What can't he? Let's check. Copy it. Open up your new browser, Chrome in this case. Let's log in as Peter. Now, Peter-dev. I guess the name was Peter-dev. Log in with the temporary password that was used for creating Peter. Peter will log in with his demo password, and then he will change his password. People, what do you expect? Bob, now Peter, I guess. Peter, can he access billing in Rachala's account? Can Peter access billing, people? Let's check. Can Peter access billing of Rachala's? No. Can Peter access S3 buckets? He's able. Can Peter go ahead and create the way Bob has created a bucket? Create a bucket. Now, before Peter hyphen bucket for US hyphen East hyphen 2 ready to create a bucket. Why is that Peter is not able to create his own bucket? Very simple, people. Why is that Peter is not able to create his own bucket?
Because he's having read-only access.
Absolutely. He's having, Peter is part of a group where his policy that is attached is developers. And under the developers, what he can do, he can only read it. So if you want to understand the policy of creation, can he create a bucket? So under the buckets, let's be very specific under S3. Can he go ahead and create a bucket? Where is create bucket? Create a bucket, and I want to understand, can he perform bucket? Can he go ahead and delete a bucket? Well, can he go ahead and delete a bucket? Can he go ahead and list a bucket? List bucket.
Yes.
List a bucket. He can. And that is what we are able to see in the console of Peter. Peter is able to list Rachala's buckets, Bob's bucket, but he can't perform anything action apart from list or get. He can't do anything. People, did you understood the purpose of policies attached to the users? If you have understood it, can I expect quick confirmation from everyone there?
Yes.
Right? So one more thing, one more point. If you want to look any other service, let's say I want to look, can he access any other service like EC2? Peter is looking forward. He's very curious to learn. Can he access EC2? Let's check, can he access my instances, any running instance? No, he can't. Clearly. Why? Because he's not authorized to access any of my resources except S3, that too read only. So let me do a sign out from this account. So people, what I want everyone to go ahead and do a fix for all of you is that you should be able to create a user under the administrator, a user for yourself, like the way that I've created for myself. You get your access key ID and secret key ID. And now I'm going to show you how to use your CMD CLI. People, I hope you have installed your AWS CLI. Can I expect another quick round of confirmation regarding your AWS CLI installation? So if you have installed your AWS CLI, when you type in AWS --version, you will get your account created and you will be able to connect. After this, one simple command. Just go ahead and type AWS configure. Please do remember this. AWS space configure. If you want, I'll put it in the chat. Type this command. It will ask you, the next step it will ask you is to give you access key ID. Now, where should I get the access key ID? Whenever you create a user for yourself, like Rachala-admin, you get credentials like access key ID and a secret key. Once again, people, whenever you create a user for yourself, like Rachala-admin, like if you create a user Abdul-admin, you create, then you'll get set of credentials, access key and a secret key. So these are the keys I want you to people attach it. But do not forget, most of the time I see people forgetting the group, but they forget to add the policy, and then they'll come back, I'm not able to access my resources. So don't forget user to add part of a group. That is the reason, first create a group, attach a policy to that administrator. Next, create a user for yourself -admin, and then you get your credentials. Once you get those credentials, input those credentials. How to input? Very, very simple. Go and pick your access key ID, right click, paste it out. Don't forget to copy, but don't copy with the spaces. Even if there is one space, your keys don't work. Access key. Next is the secret key. Secret key. Sometimes people, what they do is they tend to forget letter and they will have hard time. So make sure that you copy entire key. Okay, insert it, hit enter. I've already entered those credentials. Next, what is the region that you want to get started? You can get started for now as US East -2 people. For now, later you can change. What is the output you want? I want output to be this. So if you have done this, then things will work for you. AWS, yesterday someone was asking me, so AWS S3 is not working. Now it will work for you. This S3 LS, it will list all the buckets for me under my account, because these keys belong to my account. Can I list my users also? Of course, AWS IAM list -users. Now it will start listing my users. See that? Bob, Peter, Rachala-admin. So now people, what we'll do is first make your configuration done. You people attach your configuration. In the next session, I'll explain you more about these commands, how to identify the commands, how to get these commands done, how to achieve these commands. So we will focus for the next session in little more detail. And also, please make sure your AWS CLI configuration is done. People will have to invest time in this configuration. Please do that, because without CLI, most of our coming scenarios will not work. So please have your CLI done. So how do you get your CLI done? Go ahead and create a group which is under the name of admin. Make sure that you attach a policy to that admin as an administrator policy, and create a user for yourself, which is your name followed by admin. Get your credentials, and with that credential, start to log in with your credentials. So what is the command that you'll use? AWS -configure. Okay. Your output is not coming in JSON. Right. Did you configure your commands properly? AWS configure your access key ID, secret key ID. Did you configure it properly? Just make sure that once you configure it, check, did you you give an input in the form of JSON? Type in JSON. Then your JSON is expected. Okay, type in AWS configure once. It will ask you your access key ID. Enter your access key ID, access secret key. Then it will ask you a default region. So give a default region for now as US East -2. Next, default output JSON format. You can even put YAML. You can say right now JSON. If you want, I'll show you YAML as well. So now AWS IAM list -users. So output will come in the form of now YAML. So this is JSON. You'll see now output in the form of YAML. See, this is YAML. This is another YAML. This is YAML. Clear? Can you just check and confirm? Okay, so people, this is an assignment for you, which is a default assignment is to practice whatever that we have discussed. And another assignment is for you is to configure your AWS CLI commands. So that's an assignment for you. Okay, so that's all guys for today. A quick summary of what we have done for today. So in today's session, we have.
So how many more classes for AWS?
Just give me a few minutes. I'll come back to you, Abdul. Fine, thanks. So quick summary of what we have done, people. Today we have focused on the identity and access management, where we have been learning about what is identity and access management, involving about users, groups, policies, and there is another important topic that we have to focus is on roles, which we will be discussing much more in detail if you guys are clear with the concepts of IAM users. So creation of groups, policies, and writing your own policies. So once you are done with the idea of the configuration, then we will understand the importance of these credentials. Then what are the drawbacks of these credentials and how role can help you. So this is what is the agenda for the next session. Before that, please make sure that you get your AWS CLI configuration done properly. Thank you, people. And that's all for the recording as well. Thank you. Admin, I'm done for the recording.